Welcome, friends. My name is Silas Ollegario, and I'm the host of Think Onward, a podcast about books, studies, productivity, and lifestyle now, after the intro. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Think Onward. This is Silas speaking, and I'm so glad you're here because if you're here, that must mean you're hooked. Yes, that must mean you're enjoying something that you're listening to at this podcast, and I'm so happy you're here. So glad you're here. And today I have a special guest. She's a friend. She's a good friend. Very, very talkative. She talks a lot. I think she might be the person who talks more than I do, and I love it. Her name is Pri Maron. We talk about a bunch of stuff. I don't want to give you guys any spoilers. I'm just glad you're gonna be able to listen to it, and let's go. And how are you doing? Are you working too much? Last time we talked, you were working like crazy.
Yes, I'm working even more now because
Really?
my boss decided that we are writing a book.
What?
Yeah, we're writing a book. It's not a book. It's kind of like a handbook um, for, it's more like a guide for people who are, entering school. So with every sort of information that there is for, our school,
Uh-huh.
it's going to be there. And I have, 10 days, less than 10 days to finish. And I have written a total amount of 2 paragraphs because I don't
Okay.
have time.
No, wait. I really don't understand. Your boss decided you guys are writing a book, but you're doing all the
Yep.
work?
Yeah, because she's not.
That's not
She
wrong.
is my
That's not
boss,
correct.
but I know she's my boss, but she's not exact. She shouldn't be my boss, but she is, because she's the head of another department.
Let's hope she never listens to this podcast.
Let's yes.
She's my
You
boss,
see,
but she shouldn't.
her husband sort of he doesn't own the school, but he's like the biggest investor of the school.
So he
And
basically owns the school, yeah.
yeah, we always make jokes about that because he's not really the boss, but he technically is. And it's her husband, and she had the idea, and then that's what I've been doing.
And what is the book about?
It's not really a book. It's a guide. It's like a handbook for. It's a in American schools. It's a very common thing for you to have like this guide. It's a 101 how to be a
syllabus.
student.
It's a syllabus.
Sort of like not really a syllabus because this kind of handbook has let me see, like how to dress properly, how to use the uniform,
Okay.
your schedule, the bell hours. It's got a lot more stuff than a syllabus, It's not only, yeah. So
Wow,
that's what I had to do.
And it's due to 10 days.
End of March. So I don't know what day is it.
8
I have
days.
8 days.
9 days.
It's getting better.
Yeah, I have 9 days, including the weekend.
Yeah.
So, which
Exactly.
means, so thank God for the pandemic, right? That you have to stay inside.
Well, no, not really, because I am going to work every day.
You're going to
working
work?
Yes, I
Why?
am. Because schools are open
I thought schools closed too.
for a week.
Oh my God, this government is a mess.
It's a mess.
I'm not talking about a specific government. I'm talking about Brazilian government overall.
In general, yes.
Oh my God.
Well, yeah. And I heard the governor saying, I think it was yesterday, that he said that it wasn't safe to open anything yet but you can keep schools open. It's fine. It's safe.
Yeah, it
And
makes no
gyms, of
sense.
course. It's crazy.
Pri, this gym thing, it's very nerve wracking because February, the end of February was my last day at the gym, and I enjoy going to the gym. I went through a very intense. I don't know. I just got converted to going to the gym in the end of 2019. But then 2020 hit us, and in March I had to stop. But it's still. But the thing is, it's so crowded. The
It's a
gyms.
matter of conscience, right? Just for you to get the picture,
Mm,
we had a teacher a couple of weeks ago. She
okay.
had a stroke
Oh my
in
god.
school, inside the school, during class, and the ambulance got there like really fast, but it couldn't leave because there was nowhere to take her. We called like every hospital we knew in the state area, public and private hospitals, and nobody would take her. And every single hospital said, "Don't bring her. We're not going to accept her."
Oh my
So
god.
then finally, her husband drove her, like drove her. The woman was having a stroke, and he drove her to the hospital. And this specific hospital said, "Okay, we will accept her to just run some, exams on her,
Hmm.
but she cannot stay." So thank God she actually got better, and it was only a beginning of a stroke. It wasn't a serious one because
Hmm.
can you imagine if and she stayed in during this whole process, she stayed in school for like hours, 2 to 3 hours. Can you imagine if she had died
Oh my
in
god. Yes.
school? You know? So that's what I've been saying. It's not only a matter of the coronavirus, it's everything. You cannot like break a foot, or a kid cannot just I don't know, fall from the stairs.
Hmm.
Things
Yeah,
happen. We work in
that's the
school.
thing. People don't pay attention. It's exactly what you're saying. If you need the hospital, if there is any kind of serious thing, not involving COVID exactly, but involving anything, you have
Anything.
no place to stay. It is
Yeah.
just unbelievable.
It's this is a time for us to just stay home, not do any crazy things, like painting the wall or anything.
Hmm.
Just stay
Yeah,
there, do
stay
your
inside.
natural things, eat the things you're used to eat, just
Hmm.
just to be
Yeah,
safe.
and I was very happy with the decision Pastor Gilberto had because
Mm-hmm.
I remember 1 week before I was scheduled to play, and I did. Went to church, and then talking to BL, and I said, "Man, dude, it just makes no sense." I was not criticizing church or whatever, but I said it makes no sense. Everywhere, every place is closed. Why are we still here? I mean,
I was feeling kind of embarrassed to say that I was going to church
yes,
because
me
I
too.
agreed with everyone that was disagreeing and thinking it was crazy, because it really was.
Hmm.
So I agree with you on that, and
Yeah.
that is why I am like, just I don't know. I don't even have words for how I feel about having to go to work now every day
Oh, it's
because
so
school's
crazy.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know you don't work. You're not a teacher at the school, right? But it's still you work with people, and it's
Yeah.
very difficult when people and how are the parents? I mean, just because the school is open, if I was a dad, I know it's a difficult decision to make, but considering the school that you work, which is it's an expensive school, so you
Mm-hmm.
kind of think that the parents have money and they have ways to be taking care of their kids instead of leaving them at school. But
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel safe around the kids there?
Um, well, it's funny
No.
you say that because no, the funny thing is that like 5 minutes ago, I was talking to my husband.
Hmm.
I was eating and talking to him, and I said, I I'm not having lunch in school. Our school has lunch for us.
Hmm.
It offers lunch for us. But I don't feel safe to go to the cafeteria because everyone's there and it's crowded. And even though We've been taking, every little thing that we can do for our protocol for safety procedures. We've been doing. Still, you have to take your masks off. Like there's a bench and 3 people sit on it. Anyway, so before this last lockdown, we were receiving like 90% of the students.
Whoa.
So people felt very safe.
Mhm.
After this 1 week of lockdown, only 60% is coming.
Mhm.
But still, it's like more than half of the students. And I have over 850 students. So that's like
500 students
500
there,
people,
Arjun, yeah.
500 students plus 100, teachers and
Mhm.
staff members. So it's a bunch of people. What I've been doing is just basically eating, anywhere I can because restaurants are closed.
Yeah.
To make it worse. And
Yeah.
my workplace is not really close to my house, so I can just go home to have lunch because there's another detail called gas prices.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah.
How crazy is
So
that? How
yeah, I
crazy is
know.
that?
I know.
It's so expensive. So expensive. And look,
Um,
I don't want a car anymore. No,
right?
since Rebecca and I decided to move to Canada, and we sold our car, and
Really?
yes, in 2019, and we've been all since 2019 without a car. So every time I need a car, my parents live like 800 meters from here,
Oh, okay.
and
So that
so I
that's an
just
option.
call my dad because he works from home, and Dad, I really need to go to
Mm-hmm.
the supermarket, you know. Then I take the car and just drive to supermarket, and
Yeah.
that's it. But I don't want a car. So, but every time I take my dad's car, I have to to gas it up. So when I go, for example, last Sunday, I'm sorry, 2 Sundays ago, when I went to
Mm-hmm.
Kapusu to play at
Mm-hmm.
church, I went twice. I went on Saturday and then went twice on Sunday. So that was total of 150 kilometers. So it was almost 100 miles in two
Yeah.
days. So it's
It's a
very
lot.
expensive. Yeah, very
Yeah.
expensive.
It well, in our case, we live in a place that is not good. Well, our state, our district area is not good for public
Oh yeah,
transportation
definitely not.
anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But here it's even worse. So, and Uber here is also horrible. So we need to have a car.
Because you
So
really
thank
live
God.
very far away, right? If you think
Yeah,
about it, you
well,
live far
yeah.
away from everything.
Well, it depends on your point of view. But yeah, it's
Okay,
kind of far
you just live
because
close
here,
from people who
well,
live far away
in
either.
Brasilia, if you want to live in a house, you either have to be very rich
Mm-hmm.
or son or grandson of someone who is very rich to live like,
Yeah,
in a closer place to
yeah,
the downtown area, or you have to live far away. So that's what
yes,
we do.
like we do. Yes,
Yeah.
I talk
Uh,
about you, but I also live far.
yeah.
We
You
just
live
live in
like
opposite sides of the city. Yeah.
exactly. But a good thing is that Pedro, my husband, he was put into working from home.
Mm-hmm.
So permanently. So it's I've been spending more money on a side, but he's not. So
He's saving on the
at
other.
least, yeah, at
Mm-hmm.
least we're saving a little. It's good, which is
Nice.
good.
So that has been your 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Just going to
Yep.
work, but you were not going to work in the beginning of the year, right? Just started
I
9 February.
was.
You were. I thought you
I
were
was.
working from home.
I've been working since January.
Oh my god.
Normally. Yep.
And
Yeah.
I'm sorry to ask, but have you or your husband or close people got COVID?
He did in July last year.
Mm-hmm.
He works at Caixa and he was working at one of the many agencies that there are. And he worked directly with the saque emergencial.
Ah,
So
okay.
I was like, how did it take you so long to get it? Because that started in March or April, and he only got it in like
Yeah.
July. I think it was
Yeah.
July. So it took him quite a while to get it, actually.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I did. I didn't back then. They wouldn't let me take the test because I wasn't feeling anything. And I think here in Brasilia, they were running out
Yes, I
of
remember.
tests.
I remember this time.
So I wasn't allowed to do it, and I wasn't going to pay to do it. So
It was
I don't
very
know if I
expensive, I
had it.
remember. In the
Yeah, now
beginning,
it's kind of
yes.
cheap, but
Yeah.
yeah. So I did. I don't know. I'm praying that I did, because well,
Praying that
I'm
you
just
did. Hope
out
you
there,
don't get it again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah. Hey, Rebecca and I, we haven't got anything, not even anything, symptoms and
That's
anything.
good.
And neither our parents. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's
Neither
even
my
better.
parents and her mom. Her dad got and he almost died.
Yeah, my
basically.
dad did. Wow. Oh, I'm
He
so
w-
sorry.
he stayed like almost 20 days in the hospital and 13 days intubated.
Ouch.
The doctor said,
Well,
the doctor told us after, look, 2 more days and he probably wouldn't come
he
back.
wouldn't have died. Wow.
And
how is he today?
basically back to normal. Last time we talked to him, he was not the smell, the sense of smell wasn't completely 100% back, so with that, the sense of taste, yeah. And he was still getting tired easily.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. He's
Yeah.
not breathing 100% yet.
Yeah, not 100% yet. The thing is that he works with the police.
Wow.
He's actually a part of the presidential security.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it is cool, but that's how he got it because
Oh.
the president in Brazil is against masks and this kind of stuff.
Masks,
So he also was my father-in-law.
my.
So
Really?
until he got it.
Wait, they made him not wear masks?
No,
really?
he was against masks. No,
Oh,
my God, no, this is just a flu.
Oh,
Don't
that's
mind
like my
this
in-laws.
Chinese
I know
stuff.
that.
Yes, but then
Yeah,
he
I know
got
that.
it, almost died, and then he changed his
Oh.
mind. Obviously.
Well, thank God he's here to tell the story.
Yes,
know,
and
he's
in
alive.
the beginning, before it's just have to use the pre-treatment, this
Oh my
chloroquine, and even after the lab who created this thing said it doesn't work, but it does, and I'm taking, and then he got it, and then his wife got it, and when his wife got it was almost at the same time. She didn't get, she wasn't exposed so much, so she continued at home. But for the 2 weeks that he was intubated, she was prohibited of going to the hospital and visit him.
That's
And
awful.
Rebecca, my wife, she was going to do this kind of stuff because Rebecca has got 2 sisters, and one of them has got asthma. So no, she also couldn't go to the hospital.
Yeah, she couldn't go, right?
Yeah, and because she was still living with her mom and with their mom, and my mother-in-law is also part of the group risk, the risk group, and yeah, that's it. But thank God everything passed. And
yeah, my dad had it during the same week that Pedro had it, and it was a funny coincidence because they didn't see each other. They didn't have contact, so it was just coincidence. But my dad didn't have anything, thank God. He felt like tired for a week, for a day or two, but didn't feel anything. Pedro, on the other hand, he had everything. He had everything, but like on a very low scale. So fever, stomach things, and what else? I think he had like towards the end, it really did seem like a flu, but a bad one. But that's it. Thank God.
Oh. And okay, but I'm sorry. I like to know this kind of stuff, but isn't it weird? The fact that so many people around us got it, but I just because now talking about my father-in-law, most people most people eventually, that's what I want to talk about. Most people haven't noticed how bad this thing actually is. Maybe
Yeah.
that's unfair. Maybe not most people, but a lot of people haven't realized how bad it is, the situation,
Yeah.
that now in 2021 things are maybe actually worse in Brazil
It's
than in
definitely a lot
2020.
worse. I was thinking about that a while ago because we have this group of our praising, right?
Mm-hmm.
And today, like almost every message in our group was someone saying, asking for prayer because someone they know not
Mm-hmm.
only has it but is like in a critical situation.
Yeah, it's almost
So
dying.
everyone around us is like almost dying of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so obvious, how much worse this year has been for us, um, than last year, and things are different. Like schools are open. I mean,
Yeah, and the
how,
gyms are open, and no, don't
I really
worry,
don't get it. I really don't get it. I was
I don't
talking
get it
to a
either.
friend of mine today, and she's from Rio, and actually she's from Niterói, which is where I used to live.
Mm-hmm.
She said that in Rio, um, things are closed there. Yeah, that's it. In Rio, things are closed. Just lockdown just began there again. But in Niterói, everything's open. Like bars are open, and I was like, oh
Oh,
my god,
life is back to normal.
yeah. Like, are things not as bad as they are here in Brasilia? I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but
It's very difficult
it's
for us to say, right? Because I don't think they are.
mhm.
I don't think things are better in those places, the rest of the states and cities in Brazil. I don't think so. But it's
Yeah,
still, um, it's
yeah.
so sad to think about this kind of stuff. And anyway, you know what, Pri? It's nice to know that you're doing great, but I definitely don't want to talk about this kind of stuff.
Yes,
It just
please.
bothers me. I
Yeah.
know it's important. No, it's part of our lives,
Let's
unfortunately.
hope
But
for better days.
yes, that's it. Let's talk about things that we like. And on
Yay,
this
let's.
podcast, we like to talk about productivity and books. And
Mm-hmm.
this is one of the things we have in common, you and I.
Yay, yes.
Reading. And I know you like to
And I
read
just
books.
got one. I got one yesterday,
Great.
and
Let's
I'm
talk about that. Perfect.
yay. Well,
Uh,
here's the thing. Our small group from church,
okay.
um, we got to get well, they got together in person last year for a small reunion for Christmas. But I
Okay.
wasn't here, so I didn't go.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my friends gave me this book, and I hadn't seen her, well, because of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then this Sunday, yesterday on church, her husband took it to me, and it's this book. I forgot the title. Um, it's it's a study. It's a case study. Is that how you
Case
call it?
study.
I think
Yes.
so.
Yes.
It's a case study about John Calvin,
Mm-hmm.
and how he treated worship and music in church. So his theology about music and worship related things, and how we can apply it today. So I'm really excited. And I started reading it, and I know I shouldn't have because I'm reading another book, and that's one of the
Oh
things I
my
know we're going
God.
to talk
That's
about.
a
But
mistake.
I know, but it's like a new toy. You have to, just try it a little. Just
No.
smell
No.
that smell of a new
The
book.
smell will continue for another week. The smell will continue.
And that is why I absolutely love, physical books and not
Okay.
Kindle.
I again talking about this Kindle
There's the
thing.
whole experience of the texture, of the smell. So I started reading it, and I'm going to, stop reading it.
Okay.
I read the introduction and I stopped.
Okay. That's not 100% bad. But look, just before we continue, before we go on, I agree with this part of the experience that reading a book is no touching it, and this is important. Yes, I definitely think so. However, I do have. Let me change the example so then you might understand what I mean.
Okay.
We both still live in Brazil, but because of YouTube and because of the internet, basically, we have access to stuff, to things from all over the world.
Yeah.
So if there's a band or a musician or a worship team that you like listening to their songs playing in Australia, or they are just playing some city
Okay,
outside
I
of
see
no,
where you're
wait,
going.
wait, wait, let me be through. I'm not through. The thing is this: we have access and we can consume this. What happened in my idea, because of my style of reading, I like to read a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
I end up reading a lot of books in a year. I basically read around 35 to 40 books in a year, and that's for me not
Yeah.
really possible with physical books for wrong reason. Books in Brazil are so expensive,
Yes, I
so
agree.
expensive, and the normally the Kindle version is cheaper. And the Kindle
Much
version,
more.
yes, and the Kindle version allows me one thing, allows me to carry the books anywhere.
Anywhere. Yeah. Well, I have to agree with you on that. There's this thing I always say that we have to look at both sides. There's always pros and cons. So I do like, I always prefer the actual book because of the experience. But, it's undeniable that today, and I'm not the kind of person that likes to have, many shelves in my house, or I don't know, many stuff. I'm more of a minimalism kind of person. You are looking, you see my wall, see there's nothing in it, because that's a good side of the Kindle. I have to agree with you on that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. One of the things I think is that yes, books are expensive. The experience of reading a book, it happens the physical one. But I do have one thing. I don't know if you listened to the episode that I recorded with Arthur Seidler, but
Not yet.
he and I talked about one thing very very interesting because he likes to read basically the same style of books that I like, and
Oh.
we were talking about the pet peeves we have towards books. For example, I don't like, even though it's a physical book, I don't like every single kind of paper or kind of the
I
size
know.
of
I know
the
what
font.
you're talking about. Uh-huh.
So some
I
books,
have the
even though
same.
it's paper and okay, but the size of this font bothers me. The size of the margin, and
I know what you're saying.
so it's a pet
I
peeve, I
know.
know, but
There's a thing. I have an issue with hardcovers. They're beautiful, but I
mhm.
can't read with them. They're so hard for you to hold. I don't know. I don't like hardcover books.
Really, for me it's
Yeah,
different. I prefer the hardcover books.
you do.
Yeah,
No, I don't like hardcover books.
I
They're
do.
there's all they're always much prettier than the other ones,
Mhm.
and more expensive always.
Yes, normally I have one. There's a this book I got. He's actually on here on my display. It's called Onward. From actually the name of the podcast. I was thinking about creating a podcast when I did the name
Because of
Onward.
that.
Just Onward because I like this word. But then already exists a podcast called Onward. Then I know I want to talk about this. Maybe think Onward is good. And I did. Okay. But the book is called Onward from Howard Schultz. Howard Schultz is the creator of Starbucks. So it's a
Oh,
biography book. He tells his story, his professional story throughout Starbucks, also talking about the story of Starbucks. I have this thing, Pri, that someday in my life in the future, I would like to read to read. I would like to write a book. I don't know about
oh,
what
okay.
maybe my future profession or anyway. I know this kind of the dream I kind of have. And every
Mm-hmm.
time I imagine my book, I imagine exactly like that one.
Really?
The size of the font and the size of the margin is just perfect.
The type of paper, everything.
Everything, the color of the paper, because it's not white. I know most books they don't use white anymore, but it's no, that sand color is perfect. It's amazing, and that
Wow,
is
cool.
kind of yeah. So and that the book you probably read, this book from Brian Houston, Leave, Love, and Lead. The Brian Houston is
I
a
have
pastor.
not,
You
and I
haven't?
should.
Oh my God, I'm
Mm-mm,
gonna you
not
can borrow
yet.
it. You can borrow it
Okay,
next time I
I
meet
will.
you. Actually,
All right.
the copy I have is not mine. Is Junior's. He'll
You're
yeah.
just passing it
I
on.
borrow from him, but it's in English. He doesn't speak English. He
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
reading
Yeah, so he
because
basically gave it to you.
no, yeah. The thing is, that, let me talk about the story. It's funny. Pastor Gilberto came back from Australia, and with one copy for every pastor at church, and then they were gonna talk about the book together because this book is very interesting about leadership and also about church things. And then he gave one of the copies to Junior, of course, but he had to talk specifically about what he had learned in one specific chapter. And then he called me and said, Silas, I I need your help. And I translated the entire, because back then we didn't have this copy in Portuguese. But he said, I need you to translate chapters 6 and 7.
No way. You
And I did.
translate it.
Yes, and I did, so he could read. But because
Oh my.
Junior, right? And I do a
Yep.
lot of things for him, and I translated and actually also wrote a review of both chapters.
So you read it, you did the homework, and oh my, I
Yes.
cannot believe
You cannot believe, really? Don't you know him?
Yeah, no, I actually do believe it. Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I really do.
and then I actually got the book, and it stayed with me like for the last 6, 7 years. I don't know, and
Oh,
that's basically what happened. But it's also one of those. But there's a difference. It's not a hardcover book. So
okay.
the size of the font is great, the margin is great, and it's not hardcover. So it's not perfect for me because it's not hardcover.
I know. You know those things we have, like, we relate some specific things to a memory, like
Okay.
an experience or a place. When I see a book that it's just like what you're saying. It's like when it has this specific size and a specific sort of like range of amount of paper pages, and it's not hard covered. I always remember the time that I used to live in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
because it's much more common to see books that are not hardcover there.
Mm-hmm.
And like those that are not the size of pocket version ones, but just a bit bigger, that it's nice for you to hold it.
I know what you're talking about.
I love
let
it.
let me show you one thing then. Wait.
Okay.
Just as an example, this is George R. R.
That's
Martin.
it. That's what I'm talking
Yes,
about.
right? Yes. I know what you mean.
Yay,
I know exactly what you mean.
now it's my turn to show you something. Hold on.
Go there.
This here is one of my favorite books of when I was a kid. See the size, style.
Ginger eye.
Yeah, ginger pie. I love it.
It's pie.
And I kept it, and it's in my living room because I want to keep it forever.
Yes, I understand.
And it's kind of like sturdy. It's that kind of orange color of old paper.
Yes.
You
I
know,
love it.
It already has that smell of old book.
Oh my God, we look like old people talking about old stuff.
We are, I know.
But that's the
and
thing.
I just told you that I don't like keeping stuff, but this is the kind of thing that I will keep forever.
But that's it.
Look,
That's it.
check it out. Well, people that will listen to this will not be able to see it, but check this out. This book belongs to see.
Very nice.
I was 10 years old. I couldn't even write, in
a straight line.
in a line. Yeah.
Actually, I'm sorry, but 10 years old, you were supposed to be able to write in a straight line.
I'm sorry. I couldn't.
Oh my
And I couldn't
god.
until I was like, I don't know, 17 probably.
But look, although I love the size of this book and everything, it still has one problem for me. This is one that I'm holding here. The A Clash of Kings is the second book of the series of the Game of Thrones. The size of the font is not.
Too little.
Yes, that's the problem. So I love the size of the book. It's a long book of over 1,000 pages, almost 1,000 pages. But the size overall is great. Look at the one from Brian Houston, Leave, Love, and Lead.
Okay.
Look, it's not dark cover like you like it.
Okay.
The look inside is perfect.
I cannot see it. Okay, yeah, it's better. The margins, I know. See, this
the
one
margin
is
when you
good
can
too.
hold,
See?
when you can, yes, perfect. So when you can hold the finger and your thumb is not in front of anything, that's you know what? This is a good thing. But my favorite one is this that I talked about, Onward.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So
cover.
it's hardcover. Yes, this is the guy, and inside,
You know, I have this thing. I think. Well, when I picture a book that is a biography, I automatically imagine it being a hardcover book.
Really?
I don't know. I just do. Yeah. I think it has to be. You know, it gives you more. I don't know. I picture it that way.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Very nice. Do you have? I have. Last time we talked, and let me explain to people who are listening. Pri and I, we recorded like a 1 hour long conversation, maybe a month ago. But I had a problem with my computer, and then I lost the recording. And
that is what he says.
No,
true version is he didn't like it,
so
he begged me to record again.
I try to cover, but I couldn't recover it, and so that's why we're recording. But last time we talked, I forgot asking you one thing. Do you have a favorite book? I don't mean a favorite style of book. I mean a favorite book. Do you have one? No, really?
Like, I know I have favorite books from different stages of my life. Actually from like periods of life.
Okay.
Yeah. Like when I was a kid, I loved this one, Ginger Pie. It's a fiction book because, well, the dog speaks. Yeah. And then when I was a teenager, well, when I came back to Brazil, there was this series of, I forgot the name of the author. It's the one that wrote Fala Sério, Mãe. Just a girly book. Yeah, I know. You wouldn't know. But it's a movie. There's like a movie from like 2 years ago of this story. Anyway, I'm going to remember her name. Anyway, I used to love her series of books. And then when I was a teenager, obviously, I loved Harry Potter and Twilight Saga. Obviously, yes. Twilight, of course. I was a teenager when, the book came out. So that was me. I was like the kind of person that couldn't find the book in Portuguese. And I made my dad find the one in English, buy it from the United States, which wasn't an easy thing to do 12 years ago. And then just, ship it to Brazil just because I had to read it. And that was me. And now
I haven't read the Twilight. That was too much for me. I was already grown up enough. To, you know, it was the idea was too girlish for me. But Harry Potter, yes, I follow you.
Yeah, Harry Potter is awesome. And now I don't think I have a favorite book now. I like so many books. And different kinds of books.
And now let me be maybe more specific. Do you have a book that maybe changed your life? And when I change your life, I mean, as Christians that we both are, we have the opportunity sometimes, And because we speak both English and Portuguese, I'll have the opportunity of reading books from Brazilian authors and maybe read on original books from American ones or Canadian ones, or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
do you have a book that, oh my God, this book has changed my life, it's changed the way I see, the Christian life? Do you have one? Because I do. And if you, while you're thinking, I have one. It's from Bill
Okay.
Hybels. Is the name is
Uh-huh.
The Power of a Whisper. If you
Ooh.
haven't read that book, Pri, Pastor Gilberto, he's got maybe someday in the hall of our church you can kidnap him for like 2 minutes and ask for the book, and he can lend you because
there's
look,
there's
it's great. It's a great book. Oh my God.
really, but what about it made you so,
Um,
so
I remember reading Bill Hybels' books because of terms of leadership, all this kind of stuff. But this one is not about leadership, and that's what caught my attention. And I like the way he talks about his kids. In a very specific moment of the book, he talks about the difference between his daughter and his son. His son was pretty much a copy of him.
mm-hmm.
His son liked sailing and like staying in America, or maybe having an adventure at sea, but then coming back. And his daughter was completely crazy. Let's use this word, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
I love the way he used the idea that God normally, and that was the first time I heard this. God likes our differences because He made them, and
Oh,
He likes to use our differences to talk to us. And
okay.
He talks to people differently because He made everyone different. So some
Yeah.
things that might touch you, in the perspective and
Mm-hmm.
changes of perspective, maybe they won't work for me.
Okay.
And that's actually God's intention. So how we have to be aware of the way God whispers things to us. That's why the name is The
Wow.
Power of a Whisper. No, it's an amazing book. Amazing book.
Wow.
Yeah.
Power. Do you have, wait, I don't remember if you said it. Do you have
No,
that book
I
in Portuguese? No.
I got from Pastor Gilberto. Look, if you someday have the go inside of Pastor Gilberto's office at church
Okay.
and
Uh-huh.
just go inside, he won't mind. And I used to
Okay.
do this. I don't. Maybe I haven't done it in 2020 or 2021. But you know me, and know, hey, big boss. I call him big boss. Hey, big boss, how you
Yeah.
doing? And then I go inside his office and I start looking through his library. And oh my God, I haven't read this one. Can I take it? And then he makes that face. Oh my God, really? Then of course he likes when people enjoy the same books he does. So I got this book,
Okay.
and
I
it
will
happened a
look
lot.
for it.
I used to go to church. Just one thing, I used to go to church during the week, and I remember sometimes I arrived very early before he did. Then Juliana used
Uh-huh.
to go inside his office because she was his secretary, and then open, get me a coffee, and then I already, oh, you know what, I'm here. Let me go through his books to see if and I remember reading, sometimes the book was small, then I read in one day and then went back, put back there. Or maybe it was a bigger one like this one, and I took it and then get back to him next week. The Power of a Whisper. But I think it's Bill Hybels, right? So they probably have this book in
Uh-huh.
Portuguese. I know you like reading in Portuguese
Yeah.
too.
No, but yeah, but I don't mind reading
Yeah,
in
so it's great.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same name, but that's it. If you look for it, The Power of a Whisper.
I'll look for it. Power of a
Yeah.
Whisper. There are two books that, have really changed a lot of things about the way, I don't know, my perspective in everything. One of them I read, I borrowed from my husband. Well, now he's my husband, but we were dating when
Mhm.
he lent it to me. And then someone, I don't believe, I think a friend of mine borrowed it from me, and then we never got it back.
Mhm.
That's why I don't, I never lend my books anymore.
Oh my God.
Um,
So
I am
strict.
very jealous with my books. I am very, very jealous. I will buy you a book, but I will not give you mine.
Yeah.
because they never come back.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's a problem. Just one thing, Ela has a book of mine for the past 3
and then
years, and I just remember
that's
now.
it. I have
Oh
this
my
book. There's
god.
this book that I started reading, and I know it would have been like one of my all-time favorite books ever, called Defesa em Guarda. Em Guarda. I don't know the name in English. It's from Lane Craig. He's an evangelist, not an evangelist, but he works with apologetics. You know, the person that, you know, talks about Christian faith, comparing to other faith, you know, sorts of beliefs. Anyway, and it's an amazing book, and it was really expensive. And I bought it like as soon as it, as soon as I knew it was here in Brazil, I bought it. And a friend of ours was studying about apologetics, so he borrowed it from us. And I only got to read like 10, 15 pages, and I never got it back. And he moved to London, so I will never see that book anymore. I'll have to buy it again.
This book is dead, yeah.
You know? Anyway, so there's this book. Back in 19th, 18th century, I don't remember, there was this guy called Jonathan Edwards. He was one of the greatest men in, I don't know, Christian history. And I don't know, have you ever heard of him? He's one of the revivalists. Is that how you call it? Jonathan Edwards. I'm that kind of person that needs to Google things right away. Jonathan Edwards. Oh, see, 18th century.
Oh my God.
He was American, just so you know. Who was him? Jonathan Edwards. Anyway. There's this biography called The As Firmes Resoluções de Jonathan Edwards. I don't know the name of the book in English, but it's from Stephen Lawson. And here's the thing. The Puritans. There was this guy, Jonathan Edwards, and he later in history, people called him a Puritan because of his strong mindset to fight sin and live a Puritan life. And he had a diary, and he kept notes, and each day he would decide something new that he would either do or stop doing to have a life that would glorify God better. So by the end of his life, he wrote 75 of those. And this book is a comment on those 75 resolutions. And Stephen Lawson he not only shows the 75 resolutions, but he talks about he has another diary that Jonathan Edwards kept back then, and he puts both of them together. So it's like this. Resolution number 2, I will no longer, I don't know, wear masks. And then the diary of, that period of time when he wrote that would say that he was fighting some specific sin, and it shows why he decided to write that resolution. And that book had this huge impact on my life, on how, first of all, how we are not as determined as that guy was for everything, like the guy wrote resolutions, and he was so strict to, live those resolutions. It's not about just doing that for, I don't know, for just at the end of the day saying you can do things, and forgetting grace. It's not that idea. It's the idea of, I want to show God that I love him so much that I am, willing to do anything. And that book had that impact on my life, like made me rethink how I was not willing to sacrifice as much as Jonathan Edwards did. So that was a huge example for me. And I don't know, it had been like months since I was going to church. So that really was, it marked this specific
Hmm.
period of my life when I decided, okay, well, with grace of God, I will fight sin in a different way from now on. So that's one. And another one is actually about marriage life. I read it when I was starting to think about marriage, but it made me reconsider every sort of relation that I have, like with my parents, with my friends. It's called When Sinners Say I Do. And I
The
love,
name is perfect.
yeah,
The name is perfect.
I
Wow.
love everything about the book. There's a free
Wow.
version. There's a free version of it. It's a free version of the ebook on Editora Fiel. So if you want to download it, I love this book for so many reasons. Dave Harvey, which is the author, I love his sense of humor, and I love how he writes in a way that is easy for you to understand hard things about life. So he talks about hard things and hard truths in a way that you're laughing about your own disgrace. So I love it.
Wow.
And the first chapters are basically him showing you that the greatest problem in all of your relationships is you, because you are a sinner. And the person next to you, whether it's a husband or a wife or a brother or a parent, whatever, a boss, there's always going to be a problem there, because I am a sinner and the other person is too. And when we realize that and we remember that, you know, every day, um, it kind of makes us more humble to accept the other person's failures upon us. So that really struck me hard.
Wow.
So these are two books that are really
This
good ones.
this this thing that you said kind of gets me thinking. Um, if someone who's listening to us doesn't have the habit of this habit of having interesting things to read about, or what would you how would you talk to someone? Let's go back. I'm sorry. If someone who is listening to us doesn't usually read, and now he started reading, and has some kind of difficulty finding a book or a style of reading, a style of book to to keep up with the new with a new habit, what would you
Mm-hmm.
how would you what would you suggest to this person?
First of all, thinking like, what are things in life that I like? Do I like learning about, I don't know, galaxies far, far away, or um, math, or I don't know, cars? My examples are always horrible. Um,
No, it's
find
great.
topics that you like and start with, little things like articles on the internet. I always tell people to read using Instagram. I mean, why not? There's so many Instagram profile accounts that have, reading text. Like they have good articles, or they lead you to
To
a
know, yeah, the
place,
link.
to a blog or whatever that has good material. And once you start because those small things, you read in, like, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So it doesn't cost you so much if you're not used to reading. And then after a while, it's creating a habit is not always, it's never easy, but if you like just a little thing about it, like, okay, I like this topic, but I don't like to read, you have a motivation. And once you have the motivation, you need to kind of just, force yourself into it. So you need to create the environment for the habit. And how
it's funny you say
it's
this.
okay.
Last week, I'm sorry, last Saturday, because now I started posting some videos on YouTube. And last
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, I posted a video talking exactly about this,
Yeah,
about the creation of habits. Yeah. And I agree
it
100% with you.
it's not supposed to be easy in the beginning, and that's okay. It's just, I started working out again. Your body feels the pain of the new habit,
Yeah.
or when you start a diet, it's hard, but it's good. You need to be focused, just like we were talking about Jonathan Edwards a while ago. You need to be willing to sacrifice, or to, suffer maybe a little in the beginning. But you know that in the end, it's going to be good because you're going to enjoy it. Reading is good for our minds, it's good for our development, social development, and human development. So there's always a good thing about reading.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
And it's
decide that you are going,
and it's great to having something to talk about, right?
yeah,
I feel like every
exactly.
time I talk to someone who also likes to read, it's not like talking to someone who likes the same, I don't know, TV series.
So many things we
Because
have to talk about, right?
yes, and one thing ends up leading to another. And I agree
Yeah.
100% with you. I agree 100%.
And and I really do understand people that don't like reading, or that find it very hard
Well,
to
of
start,
course.
because I am that person. I'm a very slow reader. I I get distracted a lot. So I'm the kind of person that, I'm reading and I'm
Oh my
like,
God, that's
what
great.
did I
I
just
love
read?
having you on this podcast because no, it's
I am
you
not
bring a
like
different.
any person that you just, interviewed, because
No,
I am
because
the
you're so
horrible
different from
reader.
me. Yeah. No, it's great
I am a
because
horrible read.
yes,
I read 20
horrible.
books at the same time, or
And
I read
it take 2 years to finish all.
yeah. Well, it's a fact. It takes me. I started, I don't know if I told you this the last time, but I started reading The Pilgrim, the book.
Yeah, of course.
And in 2017, I remember the day I started reading this book. It was a rehearsal for Auto de Páscoa, and I
Okay.
was early. So I started reading it before the rehearsal. It was like January 2017. Do you want to know when I finished that book, which is, for my embarrassment, only like 100, I don't know, 80 pages, something long?
Wow.
Last year. I finished that book last year. Do you know why? Because I was reading so many books at the same time, and I always forgot, like, okay, I'm in the middle of chapter 8, and I stop, and then tomorrow I want to read something different, and then the day after tomorrow I don't remember what I was reading before. What was chapter 8 talking about? And then I would
See, so
start
look,
over,
that's
and then
another
it
reason
would
for
get
you to start reading on your
horrible.
Kindle.
Yeah,
Because
okay,
Kindle,
yeah.
you can just close the cover, and when you open it, it's exactly where you stopped.
But still, The Pilgrim is a fiction book, and there are so many dialogues, and you can just, stop in the middle of a dialogue, which I also used to do.
Hmm.
So you need to go back a little, and each time you do that, you just have to go back more and more and more, and then you just have to basically start the book all over again. So I'm a normal person that didn't like reading. I loved the idea of reading. I wanted to read so many things, but I didn't have the habit of reading, and I didn't like to go through that starting process, because it's hard, because I didn't enjoy losing focus. I didn't enjoy how long it used to take me to read a page.
Hmm.
But it's a habit. Now I read much faster than I used to. And when I stop reading, it gets me slower again, and then it's a cycle.
Look,
So what
I have two things to talk about this.
Mhm.
One, although I am totally against reading more than a book at the same time for this purpose, for the purpose of reading, I do like to read so much that every time I go to the bathroom, uh, I have no. This is serious. I have a book that I choose for that moment.
I'm
So
reading. I am laughing because I have the same habit.
yeah. So for example, that's the book I only read in that moment.
I
So
have that.
I don't read
Like,
outside of. So it takes me longer to read that book. So normally,
and it's
normally
okay, right? I
it's
have that.
okay. Yes.
Well, one of the things we talked about last time we tried to record was that I
This time
got
we're actually doing it. Great.
yeah.
We're recording
Was that
two
last
different devices just to be sure.
just make sure, right? I told you that I started reading, for real now during quarantine, and I did not, well, I didn't really stop reading every book at the same time, but I created that habit of having specific moments for specific books, and I reduced it to only 2 books at the same time. So I have a book
Better.
which is
Better.
more of a light reading, but also a Christian book, more like a devotional or a fiction book, like the one I'm reading, the C.S. Lewis book that I am still reading. I do that every day during lunch, during my lunch break at work. So this is my work book. And I have a book for when I'm reading at home. So which I finished the last weekend. So I have, 2 specific kinds of reading times, and with purposes that are not the same. But I'm also not reading a bunch of books at the same time. So it's working for me now.
Yeah, I have the thing that I have. For example, I'm not the same. I am a fast reader. I'm not fast like crazy fast like some people are. Like read like a book in every 2 days. But I read basically my 4 different categories of books that I separate. One of them has lots of books from a series of books on Amazon. It's called Hourly History. These are books that summarize someone's story. Like I started yesterday, Napoleon.
Interesting.
So yeah, but what happens is it's a book that is very small, so you're supposed to read in 1 hour. It normally takes me an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes. So it's a book that I can read in a day. But why? Because I also have these crazy big books that I enjoy. So for example, normal book like this one, I don't know, 200 pages. 260 pages. This book takes me a week reading normally. This book takes me like 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. But I'm going through a problem now in February and March. In February, I started my book number 3 of the year, which was already late because in theory, I have to read 4 books a month. And in January, I read only 2.
Okay.
But then in February, I started a book. And I finished one of the ones that I used to read in the bathroom. So I started also the next one. The problem is this 3rd book of the year was Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the 3rd book of the series. And Harry Potter, it's not a long book, but it's even though I've read like twice already, I'm reading for the 3rd time. It's a book with a lot of names, a lot of
details.
Chapters. And the book, the next series I'm going to read with this one is the Game of Thrones series. And I started. The problem is that after the 2nd chapter, even though I've read these books before, years ago, and I said, oh my God, wait, the names. So many names. Wait. So I
No,
decided
not the
to
kind of
stop.
books you read at the same time.
So I stopped, and then I only finished Harry Potter yesterday, which is
Oh.
crazy. It took me a month to read a book for the third
Yeah,
time.
that's not crazy for me. You see, that's a good amount of time.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But you see, well, I've been reading less now. So when I read like for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And it's another thing that I want to say, it's okay to read for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, who said that, you have to read for an
I
hour?
I talked about this in my last video. It's funny because I used this
See,
5 to 10 minutes is okay. You don't have to read for like 2 hours.
see, I'm
Yes,
gonna
that's
use
perfect.
gospel vocabulary. God speaks.
God speaks.
you know, that because that's one of the things that I know that people do and think when they just don't read. Lots of friends of mine, they say, well, I don't read because I don't have time to read, and I only
Everybody's
have
got
like
10
five
minutes.
minutes
Everybody's got 10
Everyone's
minutes.
got 10 minutes, everyone's got 15 minutes. And one of the things I started to do when I began reading, as a habit again last year, was doing that, setting off an alarm for 10 minutes. And it used to feel like an eternity for me. Now it's not. Now I read for 10 minutes and I'm like, oh, I want to read more. But it's okay to read for 10 minutes. It's okay to read I don't know, 300-page book in a month. It's okay.
Not a
As long
problem.
as you're reading a little bit every day, or every, a day or two. I don't know. It's okay. As
I
long
think
as
the
you're
best,
doing it.
the example I used on the video that I suggest you watch my video. It's a 6 minute video
Okay, I
on
will.
YouTube. But I use the example of the book of Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habit, and he uses the idea of having rewards. So if
That's
you're,
a great book.
so
I
if you,
love it.
yeah, it's a great book, right? And so I use the example, for example, doing the dishes. So doing the dishes is something that I have to do, although I definitely don't like it. But reading and I don't know, watching YouTube videos is something that I do. So I decided that before doing something I like and I want, I'll do something that I have to.
I do
So
the
the
same.
mentality changes. So I do the dishes. So after I finish, I get to watch YouTube videos or get to continue the book I'm reading.
And the opposite is fine as well. Like, I want to start reading a book and I don't enjoy it now. So I will read it for 10 minutes. And after that, I will do something that I like
And that's it.
until
That's
that's the
the
thing that I
reward. For
enjoy.
me, the reward is reading because I
Yeah.
enjoy. But yeah, for
Uh
people
huh.
who don't have the habit and that they want to create, they can use reading as the thing that you get that you have to do in order
To get
to
to
get
something
to
else.
something else. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a great tip. Very good. And I think you're completely right. People don't have to read fast. They don't have to read 100 books a year, or you don't have to read 20 books a year. But I think once you start reading, and there's one thing about reading, about books overall. Uh, it's impossible. The way I found it's very impossible, and I think I heard was Will Smith, the actor, saying this,
Mm-hmm.
that every time you think you found out about something, there's already a book about that. Oh my
Yeah, I
God,
love
look,
that. I know that
I just
saying.
discovered a new thing. Then you go on the internet, there's already a book about this? Really? I thought it was a breakthrough, you know? And oh my God, you think you have this new discovery about how you can improve your life in your marriage and stuff. Then you go to the internet, there are hundreds of books about this.
Yep.
So even if you don't want to be an expert, but if you want to know and learn a little bit about something, you start reading. It's a great thing, and I agree with you that starting with the articles, and because 5 10 minutes everybody has, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Yeah.
very good, very good. And just one thing, Epri, before we finish, because our time is running out again,
Again.
on our Zoom call. Um, the author you're talking about before was Talita Rebouças.
Yeah, that's she. Uh-huh.
Yeah, see,
I used to
very
love her
good.
books.
Really? Yes, I've never heard about her. And then you talk
Oh,
about the book
very
and
girly books.
yeah.
nothing so deep about
Mm-hmm.
them.
But
Just
it doesn't have to be,
light
right?
reading. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. I don't think everything must be meaningful. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Agree.
again, I'm sorry, I have to talk about the another video I have on YouTube. When I talk about podcasting and etc. Just because you are doing something doesn't mean that you have to make money from it. Things don't have to be
Mm-hmm.
meaningful, or they don't have to be profitable. Oh my
Yeah,
God, I'm
that's too
gonna
stressful,
yeah,
leaving,
no, yeah. You can
living
do
like
stuff
that.
just because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You can have a podcast just so you can have a friend over, and
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah. P, thank you so much for being here. Thank
Thank
you so
you for having
much.
me
Yeah,
twice.
twice. And that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed it because I did. I had a great time. And I hope you have a great week. Then you continue listening to this podcast. Also, remember to follow us on YouTube and also on Instagram. And we'll be here next week. And yeah, that's it. Have a good one.